Ahora. Sí, ahora sí vamos a ver. Vamos a ver que estás tú. Enseño tu tour. Sí, estoy. Como ya lo tenemos en la site, voy a enseñar como la página web nada más. Así que. Vale, genial. Voy a contar un poco las experiencias. ¿Qué tal todo? ¿Bien? Sí.
Can I have some of the people know who we are?
Vale.
Is there an introductory screen for this session?
Yes, and things that are here will be shown over there.
Sí, genial. Entonces, claro, tenemos 4 meses para acabar el invierno, entonces sí. Vale, sí, hablemos, porque estuvimos con los de Berlín trabajando un poco el tema. ¿Puedo escuchar? She's one of our partners in the platform. Fine. I think you're gonna have to really time us. Porque if it's 444, it's not gonna.
No lo sé porque es un Linux.
Pero cut. Porque otherwise we won't have time for discussion. The sad thing is that there's no elegant way to do that.
¿Dónde estás, Marci? Sí. ¿Y era per copiar-la al...
Sembla que sí.
Vale, i com...
Dóna doble clic.
Aquí?
Amb l'altre. L'escape, amb l'altre botó.
Esta i ahora...
Aquesta l'arrastres, agafes i com si fos un Mac.
No. Vale, y esto, ahora, ¿cómo lo expulsamos? No, con el otro, ¿no?
Però...
Treu-lo al pen.
No, dic expulsar. Quina era la presentació?
És ser, no? És de ser, oi, la teva presentació? És ser. Aquesta, sí. Vale.
I no té vídeo.
Vale, ¿y cuál es?
No te vídeo.
¿Cuál es la primera? ¿Cuál es la primera?
Y aunque hizo al final.
La primera puede ser authenticity sin Firefox.
¿Qué va? ¿We're going in that direction?
Puede quedar esta y después porque es general y después vamos a cambiar para...
Vale, te lo dejo así, no que me que te lo dejo en pantalla completa. En pantalla completa te lo dejo así.
Full screen or this size?
Puede ser así. Tengo un screen.
Perfecto.
Like that you're going to be... Yeah.
Is there any water? Can we get...
I don't know,
Go on.
but I have some tea here if you want to have
You're
it,
much more sustainable than I am.
if you want. But let's start because
Okay.
it's already streaming.
Right, thanks.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Hello, good morning everyone. I'm sorry we are a bit late to start these sessions. We had some last minute things we didn't predict. My name is Sara Moreira. I'm a PhD candidate at the Open University of Catalonia and part of the Demons Research Group that is organizing this stand. And today, in this session, in this panel, we are going to discuss sustainable futures for all. We have a very diverse group here with us, 6 different organizations that are working on different areas from energy exchange to electronics reuse, to climate action, to food cooperative, sustainable travel, and a social network for transformative economies. So before we go to the debate, I would invite each of the presenters to make a very, very brief presentation of their initiative, but try to keep it less than 3 minutes, please. Otherwise, we won't have time afterwards for the discussion. So, Elena, do you want to start with authenticities?
So, good morning, everyone. My name is Elena, and I'm the co-founder of a social impact experience platform. What we do are 2-3-hour experiences in cities where we work with nonprofits and social organizations for bringing good to the city. We started 5 years ago, before experiences were that cool and tours were something going on. And we started working with a couple of nonprofits in the city. And what we decided is like, okay, we have travelers coming in, but how can we use the power of those travelers to do good when they're visiting, and more so be part of the initiatives as they participate. So we started developing these experiences mainly here in Barcelona, and then we have now expanded into 40 cities with 100 experiences around the world. Now, we have capped it at 100 experiences because we like to keep a very strong connection with our partners. We're not just a peer-to-peer platform where people just upload their things. We really just have a relationship and build our experiences with them. In fact, one of our partners is right here. So it's like our initiative together, yeah? So, and another thing that we've done, we really wanted to put forward in the travel and also in what city impacts mean. Before there were the SDGs, we had our own development goals, let's say, but then now we have mapped out each initiative. So we actually measure every output and every outcome in the long term, and we map those towards the sustainable development goals. And our goal is mainly that when a person visits a city, they know that they are doing something there. So just to give a couple of examples, we work with an NGO called Surf and Help here. Everybody loves the beach in Barcelona. What we do not know is the challenges of a city beach. So we learn a bit about that, and then we do paddle surf, and then we do a small beach cleanup. But you also learn that putting a cigarette butt on the sand basically has negative effects for everyone for a long term. What we do with Lisa is that we run experiences with people who have been homeless in the past and now want to be reintegrated into normal jobs. So they share their story from being in the streets, and who knows better the streets than someone who has been there day and night, and share their experiences there. And also this brings the empathy of hearing another story, right? And homelessness, for example, is a problem that we share across cities from whatever city you come from. We run also experiences with women, for example, in New Delhi, where we have women taxi drivers going to the market and sharing their perspective and sharing about textile growth. So, and all this money goes into the initiatives themselves to do further work in the city. We have a very specific city focus because we also know the travelers that are traveling within cities are the ones that are polluting the most, causing the most damage. So we want to bring that awareness as to like, if you took this travel, how could that, now that you're here, cause the least environmental impact? So all our experiences are obviously carbon neutral, and they're all providing good. So basically, this is our site. You're more than welcome. We work also with companies, a lot with universities as well, who are wanting to take classes to the street. And here you can see a little bit like the initiatives that we take forward, collaborating in different cities. So we're even doing like a silent walk because we also consider noise pollution to be a huge form also of social impact that we're having. Okay, so thank you. And
Hello, I'm Gary Alexander I live in England. How do I do it? Right. That's my project. Whoa. The picture gives us a sense of the image. Look, it's a platform, but it's distributed. Everybody's working on their own bit of it, but they're connected to each other. They are looking after each other. They're looking after the planet. That's the essence of it. It's building the infrastructure for a collaborative and sustainable world. We're trying to push forward the sense of this collaborative and sustainable. Do you see this as what you think of for sustainability? Is that the kind of future you want to see? Yes? Yes? Okay. We're building on a technical breakthrough. Closer. Hello. Oh, that's better. Oh, yes. Right. Just a quick. Collaborative and sustainable. Is that what you see? Yes, collaborative and sustainable. It's the only way we can manage sustainability is through collaboration, sharing cities. Okay. So there is a technical breakthrough in the internet which can help us bypass the data stealing that we get from Facebook and big platforms. Holo, it's the local internet where you have servers in your community. Your data stays with you. No trolling, no fake accounts. And we build on top of that. The Planet infrastructure will include a social action network, which is, think of your local Facebook, your local Twitter, where you control who sees what you say. You control the rules about who shares with you. Locally controlled and building on trust in particular. Trust is the most important thing. And we combine that with a social marketplace. Again, so you think of your local Amazon or eBay, but the community keeps the profits that would otherwise go to Amazon and eBay. So you're in control of your own sustainable community, and it has reputation for caring for people and planet. So this is the infrastructure for a sustainable community, and on top of that you can then build your food networks, your local transport, all of which we've got people talking about here today, but this would pull it all together. The social side is vital, the care networks. Peacemakers, we've got a lot of emphasis on how you work together in effective ways so you understand each other and so you handle conflicts routinely before they get out of hand, and how you stop people from exploiting other people, and very much more. The state of the project at the moment, we've applied for funding for the Blockchains for Social Good project. The application's on our website. I don't know whether they're going to win, but we've got a great set of partners, including Barcelona Sharing City, Open Food Network, among others. We have a useful working prototype based on the Discourse open source system, and we're looking for more projects, more communities to take part, to join us. And that's one of the things I'm looking for today. If this interests you, I've got a handout on that. And this is just a quick look at our proof of concept prototype, which you can see if you want to take part. That's it.
Sorry? I pass the things like this, or? Right. Yeah? Okay, hi. I'm from PROSUME. So PROSUME is a new marketplace. I think, is that working? Yeah, this is it. PROSUME is basically a new marketplace for energy users and providers that basically enables an autonomous, independent, and digitized smart place for exchanging different energy sources. We basically provide, I don't know if that's actually working. Yes, we basically provide utilities, aggregators, TSOs, and DSOs the necessary
Whoops, sorry. Is that, yeah, that's better. The necessary blockchain software and support in order to allow them to regulate energy data management, trace all data flows, and thus support, in this sense, grid balancing of energy demand and response. We basically use, these are our services, but the main point in all of this is that we give a central role to the prosumer. The prosumer is she who produces and consumes energy at the same time. So we give her the possibility of being a player within the energy market. In this sense, we put the citizen in a central position. The citizen has a central role in all of this, and the citizen takes control of its own data and of its own resources. The platform itself basically encourages communities to maximize local self-consumption and balance the grid, balance the system, and take best advantage of what we call aggregated capacity. This is a little bit of our trajectory, but what I wanted to talk about quickly is that we're actually right now working on a pilot project with the City Hall of Barcelona and with the municipality-owned utility company, Barcelona Energia. So we actually put up a pilot that we're going to present here tomorrow morning, and hopefully heading towards a scale-up of our entire system. In a sense, I think the most important thing to say about PROSUME is basically that I believe that in this way we're disrupting what is the supply and sale of energy, in creating an emergent electrical grid, whereby the means of production of energy basically are less centralized, and the control systems are less likely to be centralized in this sense. So our main goal, or our main mission in all of this is also the underlying line, let's say, is energy sovereignty. I think we will get into talking in the discussion later about energy sovereignty, but what is energy sovereignty? In a sense, if sovereignty is where power lies, energy sovereignty is where power lies in energy affairs. And we believe that, I'll cut down. Yeah, well, I'll cut down. Just, I think our main goal is that we believe that energy sovereignty is one of the paths towards social empowerment. So that's basically what we're working on. I'll just cut it here. I have it.
Hello, good evening. Good morning. My name's Tom Johnson. I'm from Extinction Rebellion Barcelona. We call ourselves Rebellió or Extinció, the Catalan version of the name, which indicates a little bit the way Extinction Rebellion is organized. It's decentralized. As I'm sure you're aware, this began in the UK. It started becoming very visible in the spring of last year. And since then has grown exponentially. The way it grows is in this decentralized way. So here in Barcelona, we started organizing in November, a year ago, following the example of the UK, but following also this idea of setting up in a sovereign way, which is a little bit what we've just heard about with this idea of organizing energy supply. So another example is myself, because I come from a group within Extinction Rebellion Barcelona, which is the group of giving talks. So this is my little speciality within the larger group. We would organize among ourselves. There's about 15 of us who go around giving the message of our organization. and there'll be some connection with a central coordination, but essentially we're organizing ourselves. Kind of a message which we're hearing repeatedly. I think Gary spoke about that, and Elena's also spoke about organizing on a local scale towards a global objective. We have three values, three demands, sorry, that we are forcing into view. The first one is that to tell the truth. We are in a climate and emergency. There's an emergency going on right now, even though everything seems to be working fine here. There's a buzz in the air and everything is working. But in fact, the climate is collapsing as we speak. The sea levels are rising. Biodiversity is plummeting. The temperature of the planet is increasing. And as we speak, we're seeing fires around the world. We're seeing flooding. We're seeing the lack of resources and an increase in insecurity in general around the planet. We don't notice it here so much because we're privileged and we're having a nice day here in this exhibition. The second demand that we have is to reduce emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, to zero for 2030. Even though this is constantly being reviewed, the IPCC has recently been saying that this should be reduced to 2025, and really that they should not be not net zero, rather net negative, because we should be really pushing down the emissions even further. Anyway, this is what we've asked for now. 2030 net emissions. This is an enormous thing to ask for. This is an absolutely enormous thing to ask for. It's very difficult to achieve. If we don't achieve it, we will increase further to the 1 or 1.5 degrees centigrade that we have already done since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and we will continue to increase the temperature of the planet and arrive to catastrophic circumstances. The third thing is we want to organize or be part of the organization of local assemblies to increase the level of democracy on a local level. This is interesting and connects rather with what Gary was speaking about, I think. I'll leave it there and maybe we can further talk about it further later on. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, hello. I'm Carmen. I'm here representing a citizenship initiative called Food Coop Barcelona, which is basically we are working on opening the first cooperative and collaborative supermarket in Barcelona. If you follow it's oof, very bad. I'm sorry. The idea comes from a supermarket operating in New York City, which is quite paradoxical, since the 70s, which is called Park Slope, and this supermarket is operated. 70% of the work is done by the members of the cooperative. So we are trying to do the same here in Barcelona. We have been working, I think, since we started in 2008, and this year, 2019, we are working with the support of the City Council and the regional government to develop the model and to try to find a place to open the supermarket. So we hope next year we will have the supermarket open by the end. So just to let you know, you can already register as a member. the things are, well, our principles basically are, you can see here, we want to work for the agroecological transition. We think it's very important to say that it's not just ecological food, but it should be grown sustainably. It should also be with the work used to produce this food should be well paid. So it's more than ecological, it's what is called agroecological. So we want to work for the sovereignty and the social economy. We want to widen the access of good food to all kind of to all levels of society. So now we see a trend of this food being very expensive, and we think we should do something to make it more affordable for everyone. So, well, basically, our principles are there to find a way. I mean, to change the current system, agricultural system, which is more and more working well for the upside people, but bad for the downside people. So, if you want to, yeah. It's basically one of our logos. We want to make a revolution for the shopping basket, and what we see as fundamental that finding a way, a very easy way for everyone to do a responsible consumption. So it's not. We want that it becomes something easy. It's not necessary to do long distances to shop in small places with very difficult opening hours. We want to make a big place where people can rely that they will be spending their money for the good of society and environment. So. Yeah, well, faster. No, it's not. It's very short now. So just to show you main traits of the supermarket, which are everyone is welcome. We are open to everyone who want to register. All kinds of products can be found. So we are focused on agroecologic, but we also know that some other products people can ask for. Other products are not basically certified, but from time to time, we all want to buy something that is culturally we are used to buy, so we want to have it in our supermarket. And so one of the main, as I told you before, one of the main traits is that people being member, people buying will also be worker. And this means that we have a shift system where everyone should work 3 hours every month in the supermarket. Okay, so in this way we maintain the supermarket and we achieve to reduce the costs of food. So I think there's not really well. You can basically no very fast. So that's all. I think we think is something that is working already in Paris, well, in New York City, as I told you before, since the 70s. In Paris, it started 2 years ago, and it's doing really well. Something like 4,000 people are buying and working in the supermarket. So we hope we will do the same here in Barcelona.
I'm sorry to press you, but otherwise we won't have time to discuss.
Okay, so my name is Leandro Navarro. I come from 2 sites, like the UPC University in Barcelona, and also one organization called Pangea. And what I'm going to comment is something that we started perhaps about 20 years ago. In the university, we realized that we had many computers that were out of use, but still usable. So it's a bit of a disgrace to destroy them. Even if we pretend we recycle them, we do not recover or we lose value in the process. So we were working on the idea of reuse of these devices, which are still usable for quite a few more users. So over this process, in 15 years or 20 years, probably we managed more than 10,000 computers that left the university but started to be used in different, mostly NGOs or other organizations that locally or even elsewhere. And then, I don't know, maybe about 8-10 years ago, we realized the process was not that efficient. And then we started to develop tools to automate the process of, imagine like you plug in one USB stick and then you collect the data about the components. And then you can, in addition to the devices, you can also, you can prepare the devices, you can erase the data, you can test them, you can make sure that they are in working condition. And in addition, we can collect data so we can provide some traceability about the life cycle of these computers. So the initial owner can find out what happened with that device and can even get the guarantee that the device finally, when it's no longer usable, can be brought into a recycling center, and then that information can be given to the initial owner. So our focus is on electronic devices, on computing devices like mobiles or laptops. So if you have your mobile or laptop and you want to, or desktop, and you want to give it to us, we can make sure it lasts as long as possible beyond the initial use. So we are not we are an initiative that coordinates many local initiatives in Barcelona, but not only in Barcelona. There are about 4 or 5 more locations where there are local NGOs who already work on this process of collecting electronics, recycling, repairing, upgrading, reselling, and all that stuff. Why? Because at the time when a computer is built or a mobile is built, there is a huge environmental impact. So the best we can do is to extend the life as much as possible. So our role is providing tools, services to make that process efficient. And at the moment we have about a few thousand devices in our system, and in the last year probably we managed about a few hundred of them. That sounds nice, so we managed to save some devices for reuse, but in fact the market is huge, and there's a lot to do. We have some collaboration, for instance, with the City Council of Barcelona and with some large companies that are donating these computers to the local NGOs who work on that topic, but still there is a lot of work to be done.
Thank you. I would also like to show you something really fast, because you were all invited to participate in this panel on sustainability, seen as initiatives that are somehow concerned with the environmental sustainability. And yesterday, walking around this same event where we are, the broader Congress area, I was looking for the word sustainable and sustainability around. I'm not going to show all the pictures, but there are big corporations and organizations concerned with ports, concerned with cities, concerned with waste management, concerned with big telecom companies, projects by the United Nations, new startups, even the word sustainability connected to drinking. And if you recognize that logo over there, it's from MasterCard. So also the banking system is using this term sustainability to describe their concerns. I'm a bit confused with the meaning of the word, seeing how it is used around, sometimes only with the capitalist and neoliberal interests, which I think are not yours. But what I would like to know is if you adopt the word sustainable or sustainability in your own organizations, and which kind of sustainability futures do you envision? What do you, by using this word in a more holistic way, what do you think it means within the work of your organizations? Anyone would like to? Yeah.
Well, just a quick comment. I mean, sustainability is a nice word because you can reuse these posters for many years. We want to achieve sustainability in the in a decade or more. So it's a good keyword. And also sustainability has many facets. I mean, you can typically think about environmental sustainability, but there is also social sustainability and economic sustainability. And definitely, for instance, what we were doing is in a way sustainable, but our life cycles, our lives are not by far, it's so far from sustainability. So it's a good idea, but we are too far from it.
Yeah, for us it has been a question, what does sustainability, how do we include it? And lately I've been feeling more called to the term regeneration as well. So how can we make, so instead of thinking how can we not cause damage, is how can we really plant seeds and move closer to, in our case, for example, how are we inviting the citizens, the travelers, the students to be part of the city and help that city grow back, right? So really give, I really like that, I think 3 of the presentations have that word of sovereignty as well, like what is my responsibility here and how can I make this and plant the new seeds for what needs to grow. So we really try to encourage that transformative piece into every one of the experiences so that people know how to bring back and do more. But not from trying not to do the not bad, but think about how I can plant something that will then grow in the city.
I think the key thing is a change of relationship. It's people working together on a basis of trust to look after each other and look after the planet. That's the core change that we're going for.
I'm just thinking out loud, but when I hear many times the word sustainability, it's often close to the word development. We always talk about sustainable development as well. And I firmly believe that there is, I mean, it's an oxymoron. There is no economic growth that could be sustainable. Economic growth in a limited biosphere is not sustainable. That's the point. So we can find little patches and ways to, let's say, diminish. But if we do not stop growth and overproduction and think about a real structural change, I mean, we're just talking nice and carrying out business as usual. And that's a little self-critique we should all make when I don't think my project will save the world. No, I don't think so. I don't think it's the solution to ecological breakdown. No, I don't have that pretension. I do think it helps change the structures that will lead towards a rethinking of the means of production and a rethinking of what is overproduction, overconsumption. And I do think we're doing that, but I don't think we're a solution, no. And we should all think about that in a certain way. I also don't think technology can give us 100% of the solution in that sense. I'm just throwing out, I think, elements that should open up a good discussion here.
I completely agree with what's just been said. I think sustainability, the word sustainability, just like you said, is often related to, it's often linked in with the idea of growth. To such a point where the term has really become meaningless. I think another part of the word sustainability and the idea of sustainability is it makes everything a lot more comfortable. You know, we can, just like you said, we can keep on going. You know, we'll be a bit more conscious. You know, we'll recycle our plastic bags and and just keep going, and somehow we'll get through. That's not the case. We have to change on a deep level. And one more thing that I would add is that we've been relying on the state, and we've been relying on business to make this change. What has been missing from the equation is the collaborative, community-based organisation, and that's really where we have to make this change. And this isn't about growth at all. This is about regeneration, reusing, and as a very last resort, recycling.
Thank you. Well, I agree with all your views, and just about the collaborative part. We in our project we think this is really the basic method. I mean, if we involve people in the running of the business, we will be more able to change their mentalities, their minds, and to assume that this sustainability should be worked by everyone every day in their life. So really get involved with and push to get it, because if not, we think that just consuming, even if from a very nice entity which is with social objectives and so on, but if you don't really work inside it, you probably don't adapt yourself what you really need to adapt to change.
And I think it would be really interesting, because I think one thing we have in common is that we're all citizen projects and initiatives, and these are all company concepts. It would be great to have a discussion what sustainability means for them and what it means for us, just to bring it together, because I do think there is a moment where we need to draw it together and stop this us versus them type thing. And if we're using the same word and the same language, that we at least sit down and talk about what it means to different perspectives, especially coming from the citizen type perspective.
Thank you. If we would respect schedule, we should be finishing by now, but we can use a few more minutes, keeping in mind that there is another session in 15 minutes, so we'll have to finish soon. But I would like to ask if the audience has any question, would like to, if not, we can continue. I would also like to ask, because I know some of our panelists are thirsty, if anyone knows how to open this bottle. Just if you do. And well, thank you very much. There are cups here. Yeah, well, all these projects together here in one panel, providing energy, foods, electronic equipment, even travel solutions, platforms to communicate, and political action to bring real changes. If they would collaborate with each other, they could make a very powerful platform or ecosystem. So, on one hand, do you by any chance collaborate with each other already? On the other hand, as collaboration and cooperation is one of the bases of this change, sharing city in the sharing cities framework that we would like to see, how do you address this in your own work, collaborate among your teams, but also with other partners, other organizations? How do you promote this cooperation instead of competition that the commons-based economy wants to see?
Well, in our case, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. So what we have done is work with many organizations around that are doing parts of what we are interested, and then try to run this, in our case, this pool of devices as commons, and devise a governance that allows everyone to contribute and to benefit from these common resources that we manage. And by the way, beyond collaborating among ourselves, I mean, I think we have to make sure that we have full collaboration with governments and with citizens and reach the threshold of not just being significant for 1% of the population at most, to become significant for the majority of them. Without that, I mean, we can try, we can think about it, but we cannot deliver any impact. And that's really a big challenge.
Well, that is actually the whole point of our project, to get to create an infrastructure where all the separate bits can come together, the food, the energy, the caring, etc., and to do this in an organized fashion to form a commons. And I think that is the next step, because in terms of the individual parts, there are lots and lots of starting points all over the place. Eco-villages and food projects and local energy projects. The starting points are there. We know how to do all the bits. But the power comes from working together. That's where the synergy is. You join one organization and you get all of those. That's the idea. And I think there are other people here very much working on that. And the sharing cities are all about that. That's the whole point of sharing cities.
Yeah, well, we work in the same lines in the sense that let's say we're the two in the P2P, in the peer-to-peer approach. So we're the ones, like, our system basically connects the people, and that's what, like that's the objective of actually being able to share a natural resource, which and also do a paradigm shift in that sense, in the sense that something that has always been seen as a private asset for profit, such as energy. We're saying no, energy is a commons. Energy is of everyone. Energy is something that should be free and that we should be able to freely exchange. And that creates a community in that sense. But just to be a little bit autocritical, as I'm sorry I am, but I'm also thinking that in many of our projects, the way that we use to create these communities, at least in my case, it's a platform. So I'm talking about technology. And most of our projects are about community platforms, yeah? So we use technology to actually link people together. I'm asking, and I ask all of us, how much is that not an exclusive rather than an inclusive approach? How much is that not an ageist, racist, classist approach? How many people have access to these platforms? Are we actually creating communities, or are we actually creating more class difference? I see the people that use these platforms, that use this technology, being normally white, educated, coming from rich neighborhoods. I love the project, for instance, you're talking about, and I would definitely be. No, I know. But how much is that not a gentrifying effect in, but I'm throwing it on the table. So I think it's very important that our work should be at two levels. Of course, technology will help us. Of course, technology is a way that might ease this creation of communities. But we must not forget we're real people, and communities are made up of real people, and that's where also we have to act. And I think that's where your project is extremely interesting. So we always have to think at all levels in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to say that we are just trying to move away from that just from the beginning of our project, because one of the main goals is trying to make good food affordable for everyone. So just to give you an idea, in France, in La Louvre, it's almost 10% of people buying there who are, even included in programs for low-income people. So for instance, our membership payment is something like 98 euros, and you can pay, through a long time. So we are really trying from the beginning to move away from that we think right now is happening in the conventional. I mean, the good food is just in expensive shops and supermarkets. So for us, we find it, I mean, we are fighting against really from the beginning that we know it happens in many of these areas.
And I think looking at it from a systemic perspective, it is true, and I will agree that we tend to attach to like our initiative or what we're doing. But if we zoom out, we need to really look like what lever are we moving for the greater picture, for the greater thing, and where can I put my energy in? And that, coupled with the fact that we are in a humanitarian and environmental emergency situation. So how can we speed that up, like in that sense? So I think zooming out and then going in, but in the lever, and being unattached as well to our projects from where they sit, but rather how they can have more effect in the bigger picture.
Last opportunity for questions from the audience. Does anyone want to dialogue with our guests?
All of you, all the initiatives are personal initiatives, right? All of you, or yeah. But when you start the initiatives, okay, how was the beginning of the every initiative when you start? How do you start?
In our case, it was after a conference held in Barcelona last year in March, and it was people were after the conference in the evening. People were called through the social network, and they something like 300 people appeared in show up in the place for knowing about the project. And then people were asked who of them wanted just buying or who of them wanting to work for make it real. And we got like 70 people who wanted to work for it. After a long process, it has become 30 people. So we have 2 professionals, but we are being supported by these 30 people. And all this is coming from this social event. So it's really a citizenship initiative.
I've already explained my situation, no? I think.
We started as a project in 2015. We had this vision that energy regulation was was bound to change, and so we started working on this project. And it was really hard to explain because, of course, we were talking about distributed ledger technology applied to energy. People would look at us like, what? But with the years and with the regulation changes, especially in this country, which is the first country in Europe actually to allow what is called autoconsumo compartido, so shared self-consumption, that would be translated to. People are starting to understand and are starting to see the importance. But we're still at a very embryonic phase in the sense that we have lots of pilots set up, but no one really dares to make the step. And I hope we will have some enlightened municipalities that will take this step and go ahead. So.
Maybe I can say that in my case, it's not a particular personal thing. I'm part of a team. But I come from an engineering school, so I like to act and not just to reflect. And that's why I got engaged in this initiative. I remember like about 25 years ago, I joined one organization that used to say, act locally and think globally. And at that time, this lemma was like moving many people. And I think you too, you need to think about what you can do. Because one thing is about sustainability. This is not sustainable. Imagine this environment is going to last for a few days and going to be destroyed afterwards. So this is the less sustainable environment we can be. our modern society, our Western society is not sustainable at all. But at least we can try to do something on our own. So try to think about what you would do after this event to make sure that at least we contribute a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I think we have to finish because of schedule. Thank you all for coming, for what you're doing, and for sharing your experiences, and all of you who attended this session. And I hope conversation continues after this around the stand, Sharing City stand. So thank you.